everyone is actually watching your every move. They are judging your outfits. They are remembering every of your awkward moment from a month ago or even 2 months ago. You're not the main character in anyone's story. You see, and when you actually accept that truth, you can now start living your own life, right? Because for every time you think that everybody's judging you, you are always trying to pander to them so you don't do what makes you feel like they're judging you. And how you come across to people is actually becoming the problem that you really have, which is why you cannot even move forward because you always want to be in everybody's good books. The spotlight effect is actually ruining your life. But here's what actually happens in people's minds when you mess up. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. See, when you accept that you're not the main character in anyone else's stories, something magical happens. And what actually happens is that you stop performing for an audience that is not even paying attention to you at all. And you start living for the one person whose opinion actually matters. That person, it's actually you. The moment you actually stop trying to be impressive to everybody else, you become actually impressive. I'll be giving you 3 points, or at least introduce my 3 unique perspectives into the discourse to eventually tell you that, see, you're not that important in everybody's life. You think everyone is actually watching your every move, right? They are judging your outfits. They are remembering every of your awkward moment from a month ago or even 2 months ago. You're not the main character in anyone's story. You see, and when you actually accept that truth, you can now start living your own life, right? Because for every time you think that everybody's judging you, you are always trying to pander to them so you don't do what makes you feel like they're judging you or something like that. You're living your life like you're being watched by an invisible audience that is actually keeping score of your every mistake. They are keeping score of your every success, every time you stumbled, every time you eventually had the courage to actually stand up, every time you made a mistake, every time you do this, every time you do that. And because you're actually thinking like that, you're paralyzed. You know what you're paralyzed of? You're paralyzed of what if they think I'm the worst person on earth? What if they think? And how you come across to people is actually becoming the problem that you really have, which is why you cannot even move forward because you always want to be in everybody's good books. And you see, today I'm actually going to shatter the illusion that's been holding you back and showing you why that being irrelevant in other people's life or being irrelevant in what people think is actually the ticket to actually living your own life. I'll be giving you 3 points, or at least introduce my 3 unique perspectives into the discourse to eventually tell you that, see, you're not that important in everybody's life. The first point is this: the spotlight effect is actually ruining your life. And you suffer from something psychologists call the spotlight effect. That spotlight thing, probably when someone is standing on a stage, there is a spotlight on them. Then if they go to the right, it follows them, left, it follows them, forward, it follows them, backward, it follows them. And you know the reason for the spotlight? It's that we can concentrate on that person, on that character. And that's what you think is happening to you, such that the invisible audience I mentioned before, they have a spotlight on you. And every time you go to this place, they are following you. This place, they are seeing you. That place, they eventually see everything. And you believe that by them seeing you, they are judging every of your move. But here's what actually happens in people's minds when you mess up. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing happens in their mind. Most of the time, most often than not, they do not even realize that you messed up. They do not even, and even if they realize that you messed up, they didn't even remember. They don't remember it because actually, do you remember that time when you were still in the university and then you did something that you felt embarrassed you so much, and then years later, you are still feeling it that, boy, I was really embarrassed that. You know what I want you to do? I want you to call somebody. Just call the person and then that you think was there that day and ask, did you remember so? 90% of the time, they don't remember what embarrassed you. So what's the force? What's the force about? And that's the general law, right? That most of the time, people do not remember when we mess up. When we mess up, we remember when we mess up because it happened to us. Since it doesn't happen to other people, we are the ones that remember. They do not remember most of the time. So everybody is so consumed with their own life. They are consumed with their problems, with their goals, with their stress, what they will do tomorrow, what they will do here, how they will fix their life. Because, there's a lot of things to consider in a personal life that they do not even remember you. They don't. So, when you post Instagram story, you do this, you do that, it's like, what will somebody say about this? And most of us have posted and then 1 minute, you retrieve your post back. I'm not going to allow people to say this. It's happened to everybody. Don't worry. I'm seeing you saying, nah, it has happened to you. It has happened to me. It's going to happen to the person that will still watch this one in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. It's still going to happen to you. But are people really concerned about us that much? You think people are analyzing your life every step of the way? But here is the brutal truth, right? Nobody cares as much. Nobody cares as much. You care as much. And you know the problem? The problem is you think there is a specific spotlight on you that is actually allowing people to follow you around. No, there's no spotlight on you. You are living your life. So you think people are watching like every other person thinks they are watching them. Nobody's watching anybody. Everybody is so concerned in their own life that they are watching themselves. They are thinking about themselves, their problems, their stress, their goals, their jobs, their relationships, everything. That's the point. So again, first thing to learn, don't be worried about what people think. You know why? Because they don't think anything. They think nothing about you. The second point, but before we go there, I just want you to spare me some seconds of your time if you've enjoyed the video up to this moment for you to subscribe and like. I really want you to like. And then if you know anyone who needs videos, these kinds of videos that we make on this channel, please kindly share to the person and also invite the person to subscribe. The second point is actually that everyone else is busy being the hero of their own story. The way our life is structured, you're going to come to the earth, then you do 10 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 50. It's actually a story that we are writing, right? Irrespective of how your life turns out, you are carefully crafting a story and all of that. What having a spotlight effect does to you is that you want to be the hero of someone else's story when that is in fact not possible. You can only be the hero in your own story, and that is what you should eventually be running for. That is what you should eventually be focused about. Think about your own life, for example. When you wake up, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Right? You think about your life. You think about your own, the things you could have, the things you can accomplish, your goals, your dreams, your visions, your problems, your distress. What today is going to be like again. If you wake up on a Monday morning, come on, I'm going to work again. You're not thinking about somebody else that is going to work. You're thinking about you yourself that is actually going to work. So that's how it is for every other person. They are not spending their bandwidth, they are thinking bandwidth to think about you. So you're actually going to be the hero. And so because you think about yourself, you consider thinking about yourself most of the time, you do more thinking about yourself, then you can know the best thing that you need, right? The things that can afford you a better life, the way that you can improve your life. That's what you are going to constantly think about yourself. So again, the person you're afraid of texting, text the person. It's probably not that deep. The person you want to have an uncomfortable conversation with, kindly have that uncomfortable conversation with them, right? The person that, anything you want to probably do, it's probably not that deep. You are the one exaggerating it to a point that you're making it so deep that it's become so big that it's becoming undoable. It's a lie. When you know that you're not that relevant in people's story, you're going to let it go, right? So your awkward moments, your failures, your wet faces, they are not legendary stories that people tell each other. It's just a journey for you. Instead of looking at it like people judging you, just look at it from the lens of learning, from the lens of you're going through a journey that is going to weave itself together to write the most perfect story of all time. And you are the major person in that story. I want you to comment a time in your life, right, where you felt very, very embarrassed, and today it's all gone. It's all gone. Just write it. Just write it and then put it in the open, because it can no longer embarrass you because nobody's even going to look at it. So the third point is actually that your freedom is actually being irrelevant. Yes, your freedom is in being irrelevant. You see, when you accept that you're not the main character in anyone else's stories, something magical happens. And what actually happens is that you stop performing for an audience that is not even paying attention to you at all. And you start living for the one person whose opinion actually matters. That person, it's actually you. I want you to know that your opinion only matters on your life. It's the major opinion, and it's what should actually take precedence, right? Here's what I mean, right? Right now, you're probably afraid of doing certain things for the fear of being judged because you think a lot of people are actually watching you. Maybe it's things like changing careers, leaving your job, starting a relationship, learning a skill, starting a business, moving to a new city, moving to a new country. You're wondering what people will say. But you know the point, again, the people you're worried about, they are not even judging you. They are too busy worried about themselves, right? Even if, let's even say people judge, right? They do this, they do that. It's just going to die. It's going to die out in a couple of weeks, at most a month. And you're going to continue your life. But you know what would not leave you? The fact that you want to do something, but you are not doing it because an invisible audience is judging you. They are judging you. Again, I ask, who are they? You see, the moment you actually stop trying to be impressive to everybody else, you become actually impressive. I know this for a fact, especially during job interviews. The moment you stop at trying to impress with listening to you, and then you become yourself, you speak of your original content, you actually come off as original, not someone who is just rehearsing their answers or something like that. When you stop performing for people who are not watching, you start performing at your best because there is no inhibitions. This is just the expression of your best self as it currently can be. So if you're not the main character in their story, then their opinion of your own story don't matter. If you're not forcing yourself to be in somebody else's story, whatever they say of you, it doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. And so you can carve out your story as much as you want it to be. And you know that you're living your original life. I think about the people I respect so much. Did they become perfect by trying to pander to somebody else? I don't think so. Did they become successful by trying to perform some kind of thing? No. They are actually who they say they are at their original state. That's who they are. That's their authentic self. And that's what they want to reveal to the world. Then the people who are actually worth impressing are usually too focused on their own growth. And then they can only notice you when you are not even impressing them, when you are just trying to be yourself. And that's what I want you to focus. That your main self, your original self, is the self that you advertise to the world. It's the self that you give to the world. Right? The solution is becoming the main character in your own story. So I want you to stop asking what will they think and start asking what do I think? What do I want to do? How do I want to do this? What do I want the story of my life to look like in 10 years to come? That's what I want you to do. And these are the things I want you to do. So now time. No, first of all, I want you to write the decisions that you want to make based on your values. And then I don't want you to consider anybody's judgment. I don't want you to consider any imaginary person judging you, any imaginary person dissecting your life. Just write those decisions down and make those decisions based on only your values. That's the first thing. The second thing is do one thing you've been avoiding. You've always been doing that, Christian, right? Do one thing you've been avoiding because what people might think you like is what you don't like. And what you might like is what you think those imaginary people don't like. And guess what? Maybe when you do it, people would eventually love it because it is original. It is who you are. And finally, remember that everyone you're worried about impressing is too busy to impress someone else. Right? Write it down. Anyone, like the people who you think you don't want to let down, you don't want to do this, they're too worried on their own lives, bro. They probably don't even know some of the things that you're getting worried about that they will see and you're not doing them. So I want your mantra to be this: I'm not the main character in their story, and they are not the main character in mine. The only story I need to perfect is my own. In conclusion, in the comments, once again, tell me one thing you've actually been avoiding because you're worried about judgment. If you write it here, I would remind you in 1 week, and I would ask you, have you done this? If you've not done it, we would definitely find a way together for you to do it. Always remember, you're not the main character in their story.